Hi there. Here's a new video, and this is in response to a YouTuber's request about more information about the Tempo 1. He's going to try and fix his. He's in the UK, and so I wanted to make a video to kind of help him out and others who might be buying these things or have, in his case, one in the cupboard that hasn't worked in a long time. And so it's hard to understand these. You have to dig into the schematic and all that. So I'm going to go through what I found after a few weeks of fixing a few of these. So I've got this one running finally. And there's two over there that are somewhat running, but excuse the mess here. So anyway, this is a home office where I do my job and I fix radios for the fun of it. So let's get on with it. So first I'll go over the controls, which are pretty obvious, but this rig has SSB, a tune position, CW, and AM. Now, it's important to know that the tune position will inject sound into this balanced modulator here. And so the mic control, when you take it up and down, will change the level, amplitude of sound, of tone from the tone board on the bottom of this thing into this tube, which then will basically cause a carrier to exist with that tone on it, and you'll see it will increase. So that's, Drake does the same thing. And so this is the easy way to allow the operator on tune to vary the power. So for example, now I'm on 20 meters, and if I want to go to tune, I might want to put the plate toward 20. This one's not calibrated yet, but put it toward 20. You might want to put the load in the middle here. And again, this load is not calibrated. This radio is still being fixed, but put your meter onto the current mode for the finals. And make sure the finals are on. There's a plug in the back. Make sure these things are glowing down in there. And then you're ready to go. So you can go to operate here, turn your gain down, and you can peak the grid for the best sound. So we're on 20 meters now. So peak it for the best, highest static. And then you're probably fairly resonant. So move to operate here and then in tune. This will give you the opportunity now to see some current. So there's the resting current. That's the resting bias that you set with the bias potential down here. You want to set it for about 60 there, and that's roughly right. And then you can turn this mic gain very gingerly up to see some more current. So you can see I'm turning it, and the current's going up. And then you want to go for a dip. So that's how you do that. And I might get a dip, I might not here. On this guy, this radio is still a little funny transmitting. Anyway, that's how that works. You can go to operate and you can vary this thing. You can see the current's going way up. You can also tweak the gain, or I'm sorry, the grid here for max, but it pretty much is corresponding with the sound. And look for a dip. Geez, there's no dip on this radio, is there? So 20 meter transmitting here in this radio anyway needs some work. Probably something's wrong with the finals, or they're not neutralized. This radio receives great. I haven't looked into transmitting too much yet. Anyway, so that's that. SSB is simply for talking with a mic. You put a mic in here. When you key the mic, you can key the radio without this thing being in operate. Okay, just the way it is. Tune, you got to go to operate as you saw, and twiddle the mic gain to get some gain. CW will key when there's a key back there. AM will key with the mic with operate off, and you want to set your AM carrier with that back there as specified in the manual, and then you'll have AM operation. You can monitor it, I suppose, with the ALC, I'm thinking. Maybe not, though. Okay, so what if you just bought this radio and it doesn't work? You turn the radio on and you're getting some light static, but it's not working, or you just hear a hum. So that issue is germane to this A&L switch here. So this switch will take a noise network on the IF board and engage it or not, and it takes the wiper from this volume control and puts it on a switch. Okay, that switch goes bad. It simply gets cruddy, or it just doesn't work anymore. And so that is the first thing you check. If the radio is not working, you check that switch. The other thing that happens is the radio gets hit by lightning sometimes, and the transmit relay is burned out. So here's the TR relay. That thing sometimes can get burned out, and you want to look at that. Here is the here's a switch for the A and L right here, and there's 6 contacts. There's 3 on top that are redundant of the contacts on the bottom. So what would this be, a double pull, double throw or something? So when you pull this out and in, it's causing the switch to react, and sometimes these get burned out. So if you get lucky, you can move the wires, and you'll see this yellow wire is from the volume middle wiper, and that goes here right to this middle contact on the switch. And the other 2 go to points on the IF board here, where it's picking off audio. One of the pick-off points is audio, which is filtered, and the other is not. And I wish people wouldn't call me. Okay, so let's get on here with some other things. So you got the radio, doesn't work. You want to look in here for mods. People tend to put a lot of mods in here, and you really want to look at pictures of what the radio looks like unmodified, and you want to back those out. So in some cases, I've had people modify switch contacts in here, how this is all set up. They've got wires all over the place. There's been wires and RC networks down here. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I simply back those out because the radio didn't work, and you want to get it to a baseline where it will work again. So that's about that. If you want to use the finals, this plug has to be in. This plug, from what I can see, all it really does on most of these is it shorts 2 wires that engage the heaters of the final. When you're running a linear, you don't want to use the final. You are running off of a little jack here. It's putting out some power, so you want to use that little jack for your linear. Where'd it go? There's an RCA plug by the finals. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so you want to use this plug for your linear, and so you really don't need to have the heaters on the finals and waste power. So I'm rambling, but let's get back to getting this thing running. So the other problem you might have is the balance modulator. So if you're getting no transmit signal out of this thing, the balance modulator is a problem. So I've encountered a solid state balance modulator, which I tried to fix. I couldn't make it work. And so when you have a later rig, they will have all these parts missing. So you can see the new Chinese type parts I put in here. You can just fill the holes in with the 47K resistors and a 1K and a 4.7K and a capacitor there, and I think a 1K there, and that will get your tube going again. You have to basically wire the heater up with this tube in series with, I think it's a 6JE6, I think it's this one here. And then these 2 will react with the heaters in normal operation. You want to put a resistor on here. I think it's a, oh, I forget that. I'll show that later, but when I'm on the bottom here. Anyway, you want to get that working, and I guess it's worth buying this tube and making it work that way if you can't get your solid state balance modulator to work. So anyway, to tune this thing up, you can pretty much do it by ear. And what I'm saying is, if you have static, you can go right down the IF line here and tune these guys. And so what do I mean by that? Well, okay, 20 meters here. Let's do the volume turned up. You don't want to hear any signals on here, just you want to hear it running. So keep your grid in the middle here. Go to 250 here, and you want to go to 250 and keep it right in the middle here. 250, right about, let's see, 250 is 50. Okay, now we're on 250 precisely. You want to be in the middle of the band when you're tuning this thing. So I go to CW mode there and get some static. So now you don't want to hear people. You just want to hear static. So get some clear static and just peak these with a little tweaker tool for reasonable static. Okay, so watch how this works. See that? Peak it. See that? This one's funny. If you go too far clockwise, it sounds ugly. And if you go left, it fades out. So you want to have a nice balanced tone from that one. I'm just trying to find static and no people here talking. And these are the same way. Let's find a quiet place here. Actually, we can probably detune this thing. So detune it a bit so people won't come in. And try and make this sound good. That's pretty good. These two really will alter your transmit too. If they're not peaked, you won't transmit very well. Okay, these were aligned, so that's how I did that. Now, to really align the RF deck, make sure this mic gain is up a little bit. Grid right smack at 12 o'clock. This at 250 across your bands, and we'll start on 80 meters. So now we'll take an introduction to the coils on the bottom of the radio. So I'm going to go to 80 here and flip this radio back on its side, this transceiver. And oh yeah, so your tube. So 12BY7 here, which is feeding your final. This is like your small power amplifier here. Also drives linear. This is your RF amp right here. That's your RF amp. And this little coil is a 9 megahertz trap, which we'll get into later. This is your premixer here. And this guy really figures out what this board has crystals that will cause an oscillation on some of the bands. So on 40 meters, you'll have 11 megahertz crystal oscillating. It gets premixed here and mixed with the VFO. The VFO puts out roughly 4.5 to 5.5, so they'll get mixed here. And then the coils in the bottom, all these coils in the bottom here are going to be looking for a sum or a difference of these signals. Okay? So you want to tune those appropriately. I think that's a transmit mixer there. RF amp, and that's your premixer. What's this guy do? This is your receive mixer. So that's what those do. And when you work in this thing for a while, you kind of know them by heart. This is your audio output tube here. And they say that this thing runs really hot when you replace that capacitor there, because this can burn a hole in your board if this cap is weak or bad or leaking. That's your 100 kc to tune this against WWV. That's your calibrate point. I'm not quite sure what those guys do. I haven't really messed with those yet. There's 12, I think 12 AB6 in there and a 12X7. So you have two 12X7s here, one there and one pretty much here. This is a 12AU7. This is your 7360 balanced modulator tube, which might be a board plugged in here, but maybe not. So I have gone back to the tube. This one did have a solid state modulator and I couldn't make it work. Okay, let's get underside this thing now. And also here, I put these resistors in here to run some LED lights. So these are LED lights I got from Amazon, and they're 6 volters. I like these because they have a nice warm white glow on them. And I put these resistors in, and it works quite nice. Okay, let's go underneath here now and show you around what's in here. All right, so under the radio, and I've been under these things now for a while, but so here you have this board, which on some bands, there's a crystal that's oscillating, and you'll go into these coils here, and there'll be a sum and a difference. So this one here is for 40 meters, and the sum of 11 megahertz from this board here, and of the from the VFO 5.5, 5, whatever, will be around 16 megahertz. So this coil here resonates at 16 megahertz. And what I found on some of these radios is they have 100 puff capacitors here, and those are kind of leaky and broad. So when you're looking to resonate this coil in 40 meters, it has a very broad resonance. So when I replaced those with new 100 puffs, it had a very nice Q, higher Q, and it could resonate. So then I talked about the 6EJ7 resistors for the heater. So I ran this red wire all the way back over here to compensate for the heater, and it runs about here to this 7362 balance modulator. And then I put in these two resistors to go across the 6EJ7 because apparently this balance modulator tube probably draws more current. So you want to have the current draw on these tubes balanced so the 7360 will have enough heater and glow appropriately. So that's that. These coils here are usually not needing adjusting, but if you have an old radio, it's good to go through it. So I haven't really gone through these coils here yet. I'm guessing these are probably for 20, 15, and 10 for the mix. Haven't really had to mess with those yet. I've had to work on this 40 meter coil because 40 meters doesn't work sometimes. So this one here, I simply replace the capacitors on some of these radios and then adjust this for 40 meter noise or resonance, and you're good to go. Okay, these coils over here, pretty much related to the RF amp, and these go 80 meters here. You skip 40 because 40 is this little capacitor here, so it goes 80 meters, 40 meters, 20, 15, 10 meters, and these all correspond across here. So again, here's 80 meters, 40 meters, 20. Wait, is that right? Let's see, 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10. Okay, yeah, that's how it goes. And here's your tanks. Okay, here's your TR relay, and I found one of these was blown up from lightning. So if you're not getting reception, replace that relay first. And one of the dangers of these radios are, this is C55, and this can short. If this shorts, there's 300 volts here. There's roughly minus 70 volts here. If that shorts, it'll inject 300 volts on the grids of your finals, and they'll immediately burn up. You'll burn your power supply, and you may burn your transformer and power supply, plus all the diodes, and so it's really bad. So you want to replace C55 with a 100 puff capacitor. That's about about 1,000 volts. Here's your C44 here. This is a 200 puff capacitor. Put a 200 puff 1,000 volts in here, or double up on two 100s. If this blows up, I've shorted this capacitor out by accident, trying to replace it, and I found that this coil down here blew up. So there's a little coil in here. There's an RC, I'm sorry, it's a LC network right here. This is a coil with a 2.2K resistor in parallel, and this will smoke and burn. So you want to be really careful. If you make mistakes in this radio, it's not very forgiving. It can shock you, it can kill you. Just be careful with it. So that's my tour. And down in here, when I had lightning, I had a contact kind of not burned off, but kind of fizzled a bit for 15 meters. I had to bend that around to get 15 to work again. I also had a problem where a 15 meter coil here was not resonating, and that was probably due to this being out of spec and the coil and resistor out of spec. So that's on one of the rigs, not this one, but a rig that's on the floor there. I had to replace those. This is actually a capacitor here, a 100 puff capacitor. So that's all that really is. That can be taken out and replaced with probably a conventional capacitor, but if it's working, don't touch it. So anyway, now a quick lesson in tuning this thing up. So you want to make sure your dial is on 250, and this one is on 250 now. Put your grid at 12 o'clock, a little bit of mic gain there for transmitting, and start at 80 meters. So let's go through this. So turn your volume up a little bit of volume here. And now all I do is start here, and if these coils are not moving, you want to put a soldering iron in here, a little tip, and heat it up and very carefully try and get it to move because they're like wax sealed or something. So in many cases, these won't need adjustment, but when the radios are so old and everything's not working, it's a good idea to adjust these. So here's 80. So just tune this thing for some static, like this, on 80. Oh, this one's not going to move. So I've never tuned this one. It's not going to move. I've never I got 3 of these radios, so that one I've never adjusted. Let's try this one here. Okay, hear that? So going for low static. Go to 40 meters now. There's 40. On 40, you want to tune these two. And I think in this radio, these haven't been touched, so I'm not going to touch them, but these two will go for 40. Go to 20 meters now. Find somewhere quiet. There. And tune 20 here for max hiss. See that? Tune this 20 for max hiss. All right, go to 15. And again, tune this one for max hiss. See, it was off a bit. This one for max hiss. So my 15 was a bit off. On this receiver, make sure you're at 250 here. And that is pretty much, okay. Let's go to 10 meters. In 10 meters in this radio, I forget what it has, but let's see. Okay, there's nothing there. Okay, so it has one crystal, and I'm guessing 28.5 is where it starts, I'm hoping. Anyway, a little more volume on 10. And 10 is very broad on all radios, so you don't get much of a change, but you might start here. And this one looks sealed. Or is it? Yeah, I never tried to tune 10 in this thing yet, so you would tune it here. But I've never tried to tune 10 on this radio yet, so I can't show you that. Anyway, that's that. Here's the other problems you find in these. So you get this radio and you go to tune mode here. And you see tune doesn't work. So this board will produce about a 1500 hertz tone. And you want to tweak this pot until the tone works again. And what you do is you go to CW mode, you put a key in here, you'll hear it up the speaker, you hear a bzzz, little tone. You want to turn this until the tone is good and solid, and maybe put some detox on here. That switch will be bad. The other one controls 9 volts. This board's a 9 volt regulator boards. You want to measure 9 volts off of this thing and make sure that's 9 volts. Mine, I had about 9.25, didn't care, left it alone. That's about that. I'm really not sure what these relays do. Haven't worried about them yet because they're working. So in the schematic, you can see that some of these are switching the VFO around. And if the radio doesn't work, you want to make sure that you have this little plug in here. This is for the external VFO. If this plug is not in here, your radio will not function. You'll have no VFO control. This is for your finals heater. This has to be in, or a wire jumping your heaters for your finals so they'll light up. So then the next part of the tune-up that these guys have in the manual, the Yaesu has, and even Henry Radio, is that you tune this thing for transmit on these coils. So when you do the receive tuning, you're getting it very close to resonance, and transmit might be a bit different. Now, I have found problems on this radio at 80 meters, and I haven't figured it out yet, but when I go back to 80 meters in this radio and listen to it, the grid again is at 12 o'clock. I can peak 80 here for, some great sound here for maximum static, but what I find is that doesn't resonate the transmit too well. So the next step in tuning these things up is to actually do some transmit and watch the plate current. So now our plate current is selected. Take the mic gain down, 80 meters, go to operate. And look at your meter here. for plate current. I don't see any right now, which is bad. So I must have it so far in resonance, it's not going to work at all. I should see some current on here, but the final's alive. Are they lit up or not? If the finals aren't lit, you're going to get nothing. They're lit. So I'm not sure why I'm not going to get bias on this thing right now, so maybe this radio is not transmitting at all. Oh, okay, here's the problem. You have to be in tune. Go to tune, keep it in tune, okay? I do that a lot. So now, mic gain down. And now when you operate, you'll get your bias on your meter here, okay? So we're in 80 meters. Gonna give it a little more mic gain here and watch it go up a little bit. Okay, now, tune this for resonance, and what you'll see is, even though I'm tuned on 80 meters for receive resonance, watch what happens. I'm gonna turn this, and you'll notice I will get a lot more gain. So, see what I mean? How the plate current's going up? So, see that? So my receive and transmit are not in resonance here. If I take the mic gain down here, and then I peak this thing up a little more, watch what happens. Okay, I'm probably almost peaked here. You don't want to burn the tubes out. Okay, I'm peaked now for transmit on 80, right there. Go to receive. Here the receive, it's there, okay? But watch this. It's in resonance for transmitting. But there's receive resonance, so it's a little off, not terribly so, but that's a bit irritating, right? So anyway, you want to peak this thing for transmit. Again, we go to operate on 80. We'll peak this for max plate current here on 80. There it is. We'll go to 40 meters now. So 40 meters, you peak these. I'm not going to mess with them, but I'll show you how it's done. On 40, we'll go to operate. And I got some bit current there, so we'll turn it down. So on 40, you want to go for some plate current. And you want to peak this and this for max plate current. Okay? Now, you go to 15 or 20 meters here. There's 20. We'll go to operate. We got some. So we're going to start here. On 20, we start here. Right there. And operate. Peak it. 20 was pretty good. I'm twiddling here. Okay. Go to the other coil on 20. Right there. And peak it. Little off, so a little more power there. Okay, 15 meters. There's 15. And again, I'm not touching the grid. I'm leaving it at 12 o'clock, as the book says, okay? So, 15 meters is here. 20, 15, 10. Okay, so 15's here. That coil right there, right? Transmit. 15 is very generous for some reason. It really has a lot of power, so I'm not sure if it's got harmonics or what, but on this radio, 15's insane. Let's try and tweak it. So yeah, so the coil is making a difference, see that? So it was peaked. All right, that's a lot of current, so don't stay there. And we'll do this one over here on 15. And transmit, peak it. See that? So I had it pretty much peaked out, right? And go off. Next one's 10. 10 is a mischievous band. There's 10. Let's give it some gain here. And go into 10 meters right here. 10 is up there. All right. There's 10. Let's operate. And does it have anything going on here? Look at that. Yeah, 10's working. You can twiddle the mic gain here and it'll go up. Take it up a bit. Let's peek it here. That one doesn't move. I never unsealed the wax on that one. How about this one here? So I never really tweaked 10, but it's working. That one's sealed too, so I can't show you those because they're sealed, but 10's working fine. So that pretty much gives you an idea of how to tune this thing up as far as getting it working for transmit. And then the next thing you want to do is learn how to operate the transmitter without burning up the tubes when you're tuning it. So I'm not so sure I can do that with one hand, but let's try it out. So let's go to 40 meters here and try and transmit. So here's 40. My antenna doesn't resonate on 80, so let's go to 40 meters here. So there's 40. We're on tune. Mic gain down. Go to operate. And give it some juice here with the mic gain. A little bit of juice. A little bit of juice. Go for a dip. Take your load all the way up for 40. Go for a dip. Little dip there, okay? And once you get a little dip, okay, you can also tune this grid for max now. So the grid, I can peak it a bit. Not much, but a little bit on 40, okay? Now, give it some juice. And you can go for power output now. And tune it for max power output. If this thing's putting about 100 watts out, it should be like up around there. So it's not working so well, but peak the grid. Grid's good. It's up the power. Okay, so yeah, it's working. That's 40. 20 meters. Let's go to mic down, operate. There we go. Current, a little more mic gain here. Go for a dip on 20. There's a dip right there. So I think on this thing, 20 likes to be kind of down here. So down like that. Okay, power out. And dip it. Nope. More coupling. More coupling. Okay, so not much coming out in 20 for power out at all. Let's hit it hard. Oh yeah, so it's putting out, see? So 20 has some watts. That's probably 100 watts right there. So 20's working. Let's go to 21. I think on this, you want to go like half load, about there. My load's not adjusted right for how it looks on the screen here on the pictorial, but anyway, I'll fix that later. So now on 15, we're gonna operate and go to current, peak it, do a dip. So 15 does not like a lot of load, so right about there. And go for a little dip, not much of a dip. Let's go to power output. Nothing. Yeah, 15's kind of fussy to tune. Okay, current. Let's give it some more current here. There we go. Okay, power out. Probably cooking this thing. A little more load. Nope. Nope. Okay, so this radio 15 is not matching well. It could also be my antenna. It's not working so well for this thing, so I should have done it later probably. 15, no bueno. Let's go to a 10 here. And tune. Mic down, operate on 10. Okay, let's go to current. Peak it. Okay, I'm getting some current there. 10 is really hard to tune on this thing. Go for a dip. Actually, you know what? Let's dig out the light bulb. There's a light bulb here somewhere. Let's see if that'll work. I thought there was a light bulb here somewhere. That's a good way to really check if the radio is working, is using a light bulb. Don't really see it. Well, when you can't find something, it's not great, right? Here's a light bulb right here. Okay. So sometimes when you're trying to see if something's working, you can throw a light bulb on it. This gives you a pretty quick visual. So turn this thing off when you're fussing with it, don't get shocked. 600 volts from this power supply will kill you. Turn it off. I usually unplug this thing too when I'm working on the radio. I'm gonna wear this plug out. It's going on and off on so many radios here now. Okay. Whoa, it's hot. Here's a light bulb. Plug it in. All right, now find a clip lead and clip this other part to the frame. You can just clip this to the frame without making it short. I'll put the phone down for a minute. Okay, clipping it on. It's clipped. Okay, so there's the clip. Now, let's see if we can make 10 light up. Make sure it's not shorting against that potentiometer there. It's fine. Okay, light bulb's on. Power up. I'm in tune. Let's start over. Go back to 80 here. Okay, let's turn it back on here. So with a light bulb, you're not going to get really any appreciable signal. That sounds bad. Whatever that is. Don't put your jumper into the capacitor here. There we go, that's out of there. All right, 80 meters. Mic down, volume down, power up. Yep, it's got some gain there. Okay, let's go to 80. Give it full load. And it should perk up here in a minute. That light should fire up. Nope, no resonance. There's a little bit. There it goes. So, okay, so there's our light bulb back there. As you can see, it's working. So that's a good thing. So that's one way to see if your radio is putting out some power without a watt meter, which I don't have right now. So back to 80, turn this off. You can see it's lighting up back there. So let's give it some real juice here. Anyway, that's hard on the tube. So there's power coming out at 80. How much power? I don't know. But it will resonate. And so for final neutralization, when your finals are neutralized, when you dip, you'll get the most power out of that light. And if you're not neutralized, you'll see that you'll get a valley or a slope which has ends that are not equal. So what do I mean? So power on, if I dip now, it's bright, but I'm not all the way down on my plate current, so these finals need neutralized. And that's probably half the problem. Let's go now, and you can do it through a screw hole there with an insulated screwdriver. Let's go to 40 meters and try it again. Crank that a bit, and let's just hit it. Okay, here's 40 meters. Go for a dip. There's a dip. Bring on the power. There's some light, and there's a dip right there. And let's try and get this guy bright. Okay, well, that might be all 40 can do right now. Get the grid tuned up. Oh, there we go. So yeah, so 40, this thing has some power, as you can see. And 80 watts maybe, I don't know, 100 watts. That's 40. Let's go to 20 here. There's 20, put that gain down. We're in tune mode. Let's key it up. A little bit of juice here. And 20 is about there. Okay, more power. Okay, so 20, I'm coupled. Take the coupling down and load. Peak it. And no peak. That's no fun. Okay, is 20 working? More load. Nope. So am I tuning it right? Let's see. There's a dip right there. So 20 on this radio might have issues. That could be the final 10 coil. That could be the fingers on the switch aren't working on the waver switch. But since I receive on 20, I find it hard to believe it doesn't work. So it must just be me not tuning it right. Okay, take the power down. Let's go for a dip on 20 here. Don't see a dip at all. A little more load. No dip, a little more load. So 20 on this thing for me is hard to tune. Not sure why. A little more load. There's a small dip right there. Okay, so I got a small dip right there. Can increase the power. And nope, nothing. How about some more load here? There's a dip. Okay, finally, there's some power on 20. 20, and this thing's a bear to tune. Okay, so too much current. Okay, now we're doing okay. This final tune's fine on 20 as far as neutralization. Not much power, huh? Okay, way back on this thing. Way back, way back. Not much resonance here on 20 at all on this radio. Wonder why. Oh, there we go. Wow. So the grid. So this is a case where I should have tuned. Yeah, I don't think I went through the coils on 20 meters, did I? So I don't think we tuned it right. Let's put this grid now at 12 o'clock and take this gain down. How are we doing here? You know what? It's fine. See what I mean? I'm on 250 pretty much. There's 250 right there. And I can pretty much resonate here. See how it's at 12 and I got light coming out of there. So that's working fine. A little more light gain. Okay, so I'm probably getting 120 watts on 20 meters here. And that would work fine for sideband. It's just a bear to get this load right. Okay, well, we've seen 20 meters. It's hard to tune. Let's go to 15. And that's ready. That, I'm going to say, is a little off there, a little down. 15, turn it just a tad, like that. Operate. Whoa, a lot of plate current. Take that way down. And can we get anything on 15 here? Nope. A little more. 15 is hard to tune. There's a small dip there. Whoa, there's a dip right there. Okay, there's a dip on 15. I got no light yet. A little more coupling. Still no light. Let's give it some more power. Okay, there's my light. So that's how to tune 15. I'm really cooking these tubes, but this thing has a lot of power on 15. Okay, 10. Again, grid, mic. A lot of power going out there. Crank it a little bit. Let's just try and get a resonance here. No resonance. Crank that down. Okay, there's a little peak right there. A little more juice. So yeah, there's probably 50 watts on 10. Oh, I hate hitting these tubes so hard. Take the load down. Okay, take a load up. Okay, there's 10. Let's probably 100 watts. It's really chomping the current though, so you really want to be careful in 10. But if you want to tax your tubes out, there's the power. And output power on the meter. Oh wow, so 10 is, 10's cranking really, really good. This thing really has good output on 10. Okay, I think that covers this thing from A to Z. Thanks for coming along with me. I know it's a long video, but it might give you confidence in fixing your old Sommerkamp 250, your old FT200 Yaesu, or your old Tempo 1 from Henry Radio in Los Angeles. So that's my A to Z of how to do this thing. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.